Please start. Hello and welcome everyone to the CSR Universe Roundtable discussion. Today, our topic is the role of CSR in promoting inclusion and economic empowerment for the transgender community. Trans people have existed across all classes, races, and castes, but their recognition has always come at a cost, with an added struggle. They are often denied jobs and opportunities in economic activities, and those who land up with opportunities earn way lesser than their co workers. Reason: social stigma and discrimination. So let's find out in this roundtable discussion what social sector stakeholders can do to bring this community into the mainstream. We will also be talking about the challenges and intervention opportunities for the transgender community. I'm delighted to have with us our eminent speakers today. Let me introduce you all. Joining us today in the panel are Ribu Choudary, CSR head at Amadeus. Welcome, Ribu.
Thank you.
Koyel Ghosh, managing trustee at Sappho for Equality. Welcome, Koyel. Thanks for joining. Dr. Manish Jain, executive director at Kineer. Welcome, sir.
Right.
Anjali Siroya, advocacy officer at the Humsafar Trust. Welcome, Anjali. And
Hello.
Swakshdeep Sarkar, a researcher and a social worker. Welcome, Swakshdeep. Thanks a lot for joining today. I welcome you all and look forward to your valuable insights. Thank you all for joining. And joining me today is Ruchika, the editor at the CSR Universe, along with Ashish Jha, who is the chief of communication at Buddy for Study. He will be moderating this entire discussion. Thank you so much for joining. And now we can start the discussion now. Over
Thank
to you.
you. Thank you, Nancy. First of all, thank you very much, the CSR Universe, Ruchika and the team CSR Universe, along with Nancy Jory, obviously, who has coordinated this roundtable. And very happy and delighted to have this, to be part of this roundtable, where we are going to discuss a very important issue, which is on the transgender people and community, which is obviously, this is one of the marginalized community in India, wherein their rights, their freedom, and their being in the mainstream is still in question and doubt, despite those laws that are in place. So I would like to begin this discussion with having first an overview of the current situation of the transgender community and people in India, and their rights. What is the kind of, what is the status, where what all the social sectors plus sector players who are present here feel, where they exist today, and what are the core challenges that they face. So I would just like to begin with Dr. Manish Jain first, and then probably take one by one, come to one by one to Ms. Ribu, Koyel, and Swakshdeep. Yeah, Dr.
Hello,
Jain.
everyone. The topic, actually, transgender community, is a very taboo topic. All of us know this. When we talk about laws or rules, they apparently are no such laws, and the worst is their implementation is zero. Now, laws are, as I always say, laws are as strong as their implementation, or what is the structure to enforce them. Now, these laws hold no good. Like recently, we've got to know that somebody from the Women Commission, the commissioner, has been dragged 15 meters in a car.
Right.
So that
right.
is the
Swati
yes, that is the situation of so-called laws and rules and regulations. So I don't believe they're as strong as the people who enforce them. So discussing them, firstly, they're lopsided. Secondly, they're not enforced. So it doesn't make sense. Yes, what the need right now to do is to bring them into the mainstream. The discussions that we keep having about being marginalized, yes, there are. But the worst thing, I had a discussion with the Social Justice and Empowerment Ministry. Maybe you'll be shocked to know that the transgender community does not qualify under the minority. When we went to them for help, the Social Justice Ministry told me that, Manishji, we want to help, but so sorry, but transgenders are not minority. So that is the situation right now of where we are going to begin from. I can only say that it's absolutely bleak. That if we talk about the government, what has been done by private companies, we've been doing this for the last 4 years. we've got tremendous success. We've been able to place around 450 transgender members with various companies by skill development and placement. So those things are a little bright. We'll talk about those when we come to that topic. I'll hand it over to Ribuji to maybe share her thoughts.
Yes, please.
I certainly echo with what Dr. Manish said. The laws are there, they've been there for the last couple of years, we are aware of it, but there is little that has been done in terms of enforcement. I still, when I speak or when I work with folks from the community, I still see that there is a less awareness that's available in the market, amongst the community, and amongst our general people.
Yes.
If I look at it from a corporate angle, how many folks working in a corporate organization understand the article, understand what the law has to say, right? I mean, probably I read a little more about it because this is part of my job, but the others probably don't even know about it. They know such a law was passed, but what does it entail? What are the rights? Nobody knows. So there's no point in all of us discussing about what the law has to say, or what is it that we could do, but who are we as individuals and how can we contribute to bringing them up to speed? I think that's what I should, and all of us should be looking at. That's my view.
So I would like now to invite Koyel ji to share her views on that. Koyel, Ghosh.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Hi. So, as far as laws are concerned, so the laws, as Manish ji very correctly pointed out, many of the laws are there which are entailing the rights of queer trans individuals, specifically the transgender community. But in the context of West Bengal where we work, what is happening is till today there has just been 5 transgender cards that has been given out of 473 applications that has been made in the trans portal. And as you know, a lot of companies right now are making it, while they are trying to do check boxes to their DNI inclusion CSR activity recruitment, making transgender cards accessible to all is something that is not happening all over the country in a uniform manner. And also a lot of companies are making it mandatory to have those cards, but many people in West Bengal who identify from the trans community do not have a trans card. So this is also a reality of gross mismanagement in terms of implementation of law, and in terms of people accessing the services that the law gives them. In terms of the trans bill that was passed, the Trans Act that was passed in 2019, we also see that the people have equal rights to housing opportunities. Can you tell me how many transgender community people actually have housing benefits from the government? Like, see, if it's not done by an NGO, through the help of some sort of fund that they get from a funding opportunity from outside the country, can you tell me how many queer trans individuals specifically, have access to free medical services which was promised in terms of SRS, in terms of gender affirmative surgery? Till today, yesterday I was in the Institute of Psychiatry in West Bengal. And they said that one person did not get a GD certificate because the person sitting in the OPD did not have time to take the history of the person, because there are 850 patients who visit them every day. They don't have the time to take history, hence they denied a GD certificate to somebody who needed it for their gender affirmative surgery. So that is the reality, and that is the kind of not knowing. So even if there is a law, people are not aware, because changes in curriculum, changes in a medical curriculum, in the syllabus is not happening. So people are not equipped with what to do with this law or with this information, because they do not know how to implement it. So I think there needs to be a lot of change, and and I think time is now. If it doesn't happen now, I don't know when it is going to happen.
Yeah, I agree completely with you, Ms. Ghosh. Actually, we come across those, for example, Buddy First Study works for a kind of people, underprivileged students who can be assisted with education and fund for their education. But we are also shocked to know that we have more than now 40 lakh students, registered students in our system, out of which not even like 0.1% are coming as transgender. And it's not that there are no transgender students, it's just that they are not giving those they are not marking transgender as their gender in our application form. Either they don't want to, or they are facing some kind of stigma, or they don't have that documentation to prove that they belong to this community. So that is one of the major hurdle, I believe, that they are not able to even demand their rights as transgender. So any
Ashish,
thoughts from
yeah.
you, Swakshadi? Yeah. Sorry. Yes,
Ashish,
Ribu,
yeah,
please.
sorry. Just to bring in another point, Ashish, was also we launched something very recently, and we had worked with the community, the folks from the community, and I think one of the biggest challenges that we saw was because we had asked them to come over to our office. They don't have basic like an Aadhaar card, okay, because they have undergone the surgery. The government hasn't been helpful in giving them an Aadhaar card, which obviously has a changed gender right now. So even basics, we have to start from there. I mean, it's really sad. All of us, we think it's a given, right? Being a citizen of India, it's our right to have an Aadhaar card. I mean, why deny? Those are things that really hit us hard when we were trying to do this exercise.
Right. Swakshdeep, yes, you want to?
Yeah, I think I completely echo with the thoughts of everyone who has spoken before me. And I think like when we speak of the law, we also have to look at basically the transgender community is not like a homogeneous community. It's a very diverse community. And even when we look at the laws that have been implemented, for example, NALSA in 2014, like it was a very exclusionary law in the sense that there was like men, like the terms trans masculine and trans men were mentioned just twice. And even apart from that, I think it also excluded a lot of other indigenous communities, for example, Kothis, Duranis, like who are very prevalent all across India, or like Nupa Manobis, who are like an indigenous community of gender variant people in Manipur. So, so many of diverse gender variant people were excluded from the law itself, and the Trans Act 2019, echoed the same. And even when we talk about housing, for example, as Koyel talked about before, the government had a scheme for Garima Griha, which is basically trans housing. But according to reports, like the organizations who have been running Garima Griha hasn't received funding for like at least since the last year. And so many of these like
6 months. Right now, it's exactly 6 months that some of the Garima Grihas have not received funding for sustaining the shelter homes. Thank you, Shankudi, for bringing that up.
No worries at all.
That's really worrisome.
Yeah, so many of these housing like Garima Grihas are on the verge of like closing down. So we can just imagine, like, if they close down, for instance, like where will these trans people go? Because this Garima Griha also houses like a lot of trans people. I mean, it's technically for trans people. So yeah, like, and I think when it comes to employment, we don't have any protection in terms of employment. Like, there's no law stating that, if you fire a trans person or if you fire a queer person, like, there's some, like there's some action that can be taken, or there's some, something that can be done. Like there's no law stating that. Like which exists for like say caste or even like religion, but there's no law stating that for trans people. So I think that's also a barrier, because I feel what a lot of corporates are doing to tick their D&I is basically just add in more trans people without making the workplace inclusive. So what a lot of these trans people who get into these companies faces massive transphobia. Most of them are unable to sustain in such an environment because it's mentally triggering for them. So I think even before we talk about like how to get in trans people into the system, we have to talk about how to make the system more inclusive, because we can't just check the D&I box and just say that, okay, we have hired in like so many trans people and the company is very inclusive. We also have to see how the processes inside a company, for instance, are trans inclusive. Yeah, I think that's my view.
Right. So quite well said that yeah, the broad overview is that the transgender people are neither getting the kind of due recognition from the society nor from the policies side. They are not getting the kind of protection that they should be getting, or kind of safeguard rules are not safeguarding their rights as a common citizen also. So from each of you, since you all have been working in this space for long now, and you must have done some kind of unique projects also wherein you would have succeed also to an extent, right? So would also like to understand that while working with transgender people and doing some projects with them, so if you all can share your experiences of doing those projects with transgenders, and what are the specific challenges in those projects where you feel that you got some kind of success, right? So what has been?
Ashish, Anjali speak?
So
I
Ashish,
Anjali speak.
Yes, we would like
sure,
to
sure.
hear Anjali's observation and perspective on the challenges that everybody's discussed. So Anjali, I would like to invite you to please share your views with us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for letting a trans person speak on trans issues.
Oh, I'm
So,
sorry,
hi.
Anjali. Yeah,
Yeah,
Anjali.
no problem. Yeah, so I disagree a bit when it comes to laws, because we have seen a tremendous change coming from not only laws, but talking about NALSA judgment, it was just a judgment by Supreme Court, but it brought a lot of changes in our legal framework. Today we have the Transgender Act 2019, though we can debate whether the law is very progressive or not, but still we have some legal frame that talks about right of transgender communities in our country. So there has been some changes when it comes to legal discourse in our country. And also we have seen in history how those legal uh, changes have been like a baby step to bring about social reforms in the country. So we can't deny that laws are just meant, but what more important than just having laws are bringing awareness about the law. Yeah, because even if we see the transgender communities who are in ground, because we reach out to them, people who are having their livelihood based on sex work or begging, they are not even aware about what the Transgender Act talks about. So bringing that awareness within the community, and also making the larger community aware about it is important, and also implementing the law on ground, because it's been more than 3 years now that the law has been the act is there, but still how much it has been implemented on ground. Like Koyel mentioned about West Bengal, we recently saw the judgment by, I guess, the High Court.
Supreme Court. Yes, Supreme Court.
Yeah, because there were so many transgender identity card applications were pending. And here also in Maharashtra, specifically Mumbai, in our organization, we have a booth where we are helping to facilitate the application process, because it's not really very accessible. It's online, and most of the transgender people does not have access to phone or Android phone where they can create their Gmail account, then apply, then check the status of their identity card. So it's a back and forth process for them. So we are facilitating, but how much NGOs will facilitate for every individual to get their basic identity card? And it's just the basic card. Uh, if you have to have your all the documents changed, you again have to go through all the procedures to all the departments again and again. So it's a very hectic task, and also acts like a burden, extra burden on trans person to change their documents. I have recently applied for the passport, and I can sense how traumatic it was for me to just get my passport done. So documentation is I guess, is a very long time issue when it comes to transgender community, and that also becomes a barrier while applying to jobs in the corporates. Many corporates who wanted to hire trans person are not ready to negotiate on those terms when it comes to documentation or even qualifications and skill, because the policies that are there are not really made in consideration with the issues of transgender community. So, so we have to see how we can bring a holistic approach when we talk about trans inclusion. And I very strongly believe that it's it's the community who has to be in the driving seat to define what inclusion looks like for us, rather than someone who is not from the community gives their perspective about what steps need to be taken to include transgender people in a corporate or any other institute. So for me, right now, the major uh, important steps for trans inclusion, if we have to look at, should be education, employment, and more important, safety of a trans person. Because we saw how even in Garima Graha, trans people were not safe. So those designated and safe spaces are all not even safe. Then what kind of safety we are providing? So these are the three major steps where we need to look at when we talk about trans inclusion. Thanks.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you, Anjali, for sharing a little different perspective towards the policy one. But yes, definitely we are going to come to you again, come back to you again to get some also idea as to what, as a kind of representative of that community, how do you feel, what kind of changes, policy changes you recommend, or what kind of solution to these problems that is there, that transgender people themselves think? So obviously we are going to take that into the later part of this discussion. But before that, we would first like to come to you all to understand and hear some of the success stories, some of the good work that you people have done, and obviously the challenges that you faced and during those projects while making it a success, and how did you overcome those challenges. So probably that also gives some idea to the community, to other social sector stakeholders, to understand those challenges and also to kind of bring solutions and to face those challenges. So if I can start with Dr. Jain.
It's a very vast topic, Ashish, that you've given, from projects to companies to CSRs to everything. It is very, very vast. We'll break it down step by step and we'll talk about what Kineer does. Again, Kineer is led by a trans person. So when we talk about Kineer, rest assured, the decisions are made by Lakshmi Narayan Tripathi. I guess everybody would know. So it is not that it's people out of the community. Yes, I am talking about these issues because I work with her, but the decisions are made by a trans person. So first we'll make that clear. Now, what the issue is? You are from CSR Universe. Everybody is here from corporates. There is a CSR mandate. Now, the CSR Universe team could tell me how much is the percent allocated by the CSR mandates in companies. How many companies has transgenders on the CSR mandate? They cannot go out of their mandate. Is that right? So now, can you name 5 companies? You are from the CSR Universe. This question comes directly to you. How many companies do you know have transgenders on their CSR?
No, they don't.
Getting funds from them, doing successful projects is a very, very different ballgame. The first thing is that companies have not assigned money for any CSR activity for transgenders. They hardly, I would say Barclays has got on their CSR mandate transgenders. Very few companies, handful of companies have got. It is firstly very difficult for all the social sector associates who are sitting here to get funds. Then to make it successful is a completely different ballgame. Now we talk about Kineer, what we had done, that we not started with the social sector. Kineer was started as a packaged drinking water company where transgender members were hired and we were selling this water to corporates, in turn generating employment for the transgender community. We were in a B2B model. And then suddenly there was COVID. And the factories were down, everything was down, there was no sales, nothing. The only thing remained was phone calls to Lakshmi Narayan Tripathi ji that, ma'am, we need rations. There is no sex work, there's no begging, there's no badhai, there is nothing. Now, what do you do? So situations changed as per the what was the scenario. We got into a program called Forgotten Families. We tried to collect rations We did Forgotten Families. The beginning of the pandemic, we started because there was nobody else who was doing for the transgender community. And ma'am said, I can't let the community die with hunger, because she always says that maybe they'll not die of COVID, but they'll definitely die of hunger. So we started the campaign called Forgotten Families. It's a big hit. We've distributed rations worth 15 crores till now. Started very small by making meals at our factory and distributing in and around Delhi. And today, pan India, we've helped with that. Then came vaccinations, another big challenge. Like everybody is saying, there's no Aadhaar card, there's no this, but the vaccination is required. There's no money to pay for them. That is the time we got in touch with the managing director of Serum for vaccinations, and he did a Parivartan Ka Tika free vaccination drive for the transgender community across 200 centers of Apollo hospitals. Just make a booking, we've paid for it, go get your vaccination done. We started with Kineer Mahotsav, which is nurturing the transgender talent. We do shows, we bring them to corporates where they perform and they make money out of that, because we have to showcase not just the plight, but their talent as well. Then we started with Transformation, which is a skill building and placement drive, wherein transgender members are trained, like everybody's rightly said, not on jobs that they just decide ki acha ye kar lete hai, ya acha is pe train kar do. No. The jobs is a reverse integration model where the companies, after their sensitization, their gender neutral washrooms, their buddy posh, once everything is completed and the job descriptions are shared, the transgender members are then trained on those specific job descriptions and forwarded to the companies for hiring. We've been able to place close to 450 transgender members with various companies under transformation. Sodexo, Flipkart, there's such big companies who've hired members for different varied jobs. They could be delivery personnel, they could be janitors, they could be pantry boys, they could be mobile repair and attendants. There are various categories that we've trained now. So that's been a success story there. There are various projects that Kineer is running for the overall growth. We do understand it's a long way, but yes, Lakshmi ji and the entire team at Kineer is trying to bring projects very difficult. The success of the projects is negligible. If they're close to 25 lakh members unofficially, we've just been able to reach around 4 lakhs with all this work. So not that great.
Right. So Manish, the second part of my question was, so one of the project where you think that the project has been success or has been running successfully, right? So what has been the key challenge on those projects? I'm not talking about the projects that are difficult to start or where and there are many challenges and you cannot start. So the project where you have seen the success of these people or project succeeding overall. What has been the challenges and how did you overcome that?
The biggest challenge is anything which is long term. When there is any project which is a long term project and comes to the transgender community, that always has a higher chance of failing. There are various reasons behind it. First is their own sustainability. If I do a 1 week course of transgender member and I place them, their training placement is much easier. But if I do a Google certification, which is a 9-month course, post after that they get a job, their sustainability becomes an issue because they don't have those kind of livelihood options to go through. Or if I come up with an MBBS or an engineering program ki 3 saal ke liye you do this, they would not be able to sustain themselves. So our biggest challenge for making it successful is that the candidate who's there is able to withhold. Now, like we did with the Willow Poonawalla Foundation, there was a child who wanted to complete her 12th. Now the challenge is either she studies her 12th or goes for begging. So the Willow Poonawalla Foundation did not just give the school fee, they also gave her 5,000 rupees per month for 12 months as a hand-holding fee. So don't go outside to beg, concentrate on your studies. And she's recently passed with flying colors and we are all very happy about it. So that is how maybe the models need to be made for the success story. Yes, there are challenges, a lot of challenges. The community knows themselves that what happens, how it is difficult for them also to be brought out of the culture, because there are a lot of pulling back factors who will keep telling you, no, kuch nahi hoga, yaar, nothing will happen, kya tu dobara, you will go there, you will face this, and baad mein to fail hoke hamare paas hi aayegi. All those things happen. So
right,
overcoming all that needs a strength from the trans person from inside as well, that no, I'll prove you wrong. Wait and watch. It'll take me 1 year, but yes, I'll succeed and I'll show you. And there have been success stories. I can give one name, Manu, who's joined Flipkart. He joined as a delivery personnel and today is the most celebrated team leader at Flipkart. The only thing,
wonderful.
The only thing, resilience. We didn't do anything. I can maybe give him a call and motivate him. Manu, I'm with you. That's all I can do. but the resilience that was inside, that burning thing that no, I have to prove the world wrong, I have to prove my family wrong, I have to prove everybody who laughed on me wrong, that success will only come from there. I can only make a package and give it. The success of the project is on the candidate who's the beneficiary who's taking it.
Right, right. So you are saying that success, the project is success, like kind of work that you have been doing can be termed as successful only if it is long term, supporting them not only for their motivating them, building confidence in them, educating them, but also helping them to live a happy life and satisfied life, right?
My success is only when the person that I have enabled is enabled to help another person. That's the time Correct. I say I'm successful.
Correct. So I come to Ribu ji now. What are your thoughts, ma'am? Any particular project wherein you have seen it becoming a success, and towards that success, what are the kind of challenges through the implementation of that project that you have noticed or observed, and how did you overcome that?
Thank you so much, Ashishji. So I'll take a step back and I think there were a couple of questions around how many organizations or corporate organizations work with the folks from the LGBTQ plus community, and how many of them have them in their CSR board or even the CSR community, right? So we have a corporate social responsibility and a diversity council, and I have folks from the community who are part of the council. So they work very closely with us. So that's something that I did want to call out. And this didn't happen just like that, right? So it was about the organization building the trust within every individual, saying you can open up and come and speak to us. And I will, like I said, I will recall this journey and it'll stay with me forever, because I started the diversity and inclusion chapter here at Amadeus. And when I was starting this, I did call out for folks from the community, folks from, anybody who wants to join the diversity and inclusion group, please come forward and speak to me. A lot of people did come up, and while we were putting the entire framework together, right, there was somebody from the community in the organization at a very senior position said, Ribu, now I have the faith that we are mature as an organization and I can come and speak to you. I said, please come and speak to me. And that's when they opened up saying, I am from the community and I haven't opened up about this to anybody in the organization. And they felt safe to come and speak. That itself was a big win for me as an organization, right? And after they came out, there were multiple other folks who came out, and we had an internal panel discussion with folks from the community who are part of our organization. Right. And they are part of the decision making when it comes to what is it that we are doing for the community. And one such project, and it's something that's extremely close to our heart, is we've worked on the project for about an year now. This is with Solidarity Foundation. They do a lot of work around folks from the community, right? We envisaged something called a mobile cafe. It was called a Pride Cafe. A mobile truck which would be stationed at multiple locations. So when we started off, we said multiple locations. It'll be a cafe on wheels, where there would be food served and made by folks from the community. While we were doing a lot of research, we did figure out that there would be multiple ways in which folks from the community could be harassed as part of this entire journey of moving from one location to the other. And this is including the police folks, right? And therefore, we were looking at a safe place for the van to be docked. How do we kind of sensitize folks where this van is going to be docked? How do we bring the folks from the community up to speed on their culinary skills, their business skills, their interaction with the other people? So there were multiple trainings that this entire team underwent. So right now we employ about 12 folks from the community, from the LGBTQ plus community, who are part of the van. They are cooking food and they're serving food at a WeWork location in Bangalore. And we inaugurated this on the 9th of January. And up until now, I think we have close to 400 plus orders that they're serving every day. So this is something that I did want to call
That's
out.
great. Awesome.
Yeah. So the challenges, there were multiple challenges, right? So like I called out, the harassment could come from folks from people who are in power, the police, for example. So even
Right.
for that local police, we had to kind of run a session to sensitize them. We had to run a session for the we work team, that there would be folks from the community, and these are the when you're having an interaction, you should check with them what kind of pronouns they want to be associated with, and this is the kind of language you should be using. Inclusive language is required. So multiple of those trainings happened within the organization and to the general public who they would be interacting with, right? And the other thing that we saw was the drive within individuals. There was, luckily for us, there was this one person from the community who had done their you know social work, plus had done some bit of culinary. So they wanted to establish something like this. It was their dream to be doing something like this, and they motivated a lot of other folks from the community to be joining. And like Dr. Jain was mentioning, there was always this pull of, Sasha, ye nahi hone wala, it's not going to happen, you will have to come back here, this is not going to work. So Sasha was,
Right.
when we were working with Sasha, she was, they were, sorry, so bent upon saying that, no, it has to work. Ribu, whatever said and done, this has to work. I said, we will ensure that this works. So I think they were the happiest people. And they came and, literally, I was in tears when we were actually doing the launch. It was a brilliant moment for us.
Great, great. Nice to hear that. So I would like to now come to Anjali, and after that, probably Swakshdeep, to understand and hear from them uh, their experience of going through the implementation of a project that became a success and the challenges they faced towards making it a success. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know about success, but I will talk about the work that we do. So from past 5 years, I'm associated with an initiative of Humsafar called Transcend, which specifically work for socioeconomic inclusion of trans person. Koyel, you want to speak?
No, by mistake. My hand just, don't worry. Just
No.
go on.
Yeah, and this initiative is supported by two corporates currently under the CSR. One is TLG Private Limited, and the another one is HSBC. So under this project, it's a advocacy as well as capacity building project where we build the capacity of communities. Initially, we started with building capacities of organizations who are working for trans right in the country. So we identified CBOs in Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore. We build their capacity. We help them register, understand how to run an organization, what kind of advocacy and capacity building is required, and also provided some kind of financial support. And later on, we moved on building capacities of individual. So we did session on Transgender Act 2019. We did on Constitution of India. Recently, we did on RTI. There were 25 participants across the country who also filed RTI because when it comes to advocacy, you also require some kind of information and also want to know the gap in the system so that we can do advocacy on that. So it was a very fruitful workshop which was conducted by Dr. Muzaffar Bhatt, who is a known RTI activist from Kashmir. And we also did, so there were multiple capacity building workshops. The major component of our Transcend project works on advocacy. So we sensitize corporates, we sensitize educational institute, and the sensitization that we have is community-led. So the model that of a sensitization is designed by the communities and also led by the community. And we encourage community-led sensitization because communities should speak about their stories and no one else can talk about ourselves. Uh, so this is what we encourage. And when it comes to recruitment, we have also developed a recruitment process where we help corporates hire more diverse candidates from the community. And this process document is also developed by 20 CBOs across the country. We did a national coalition in Delhi last year where we invited those 20 CBOs. CBO's community-based organization, where we developed this process document which talks about what steps an organization needs to take before hiring any LGBTQ plus candidates. So there's sensitization, there's policy review, policy drafting,
Right.
and then comes taking the JDs and hiring LGBTQ candidates.
That's great. That I think helps a lot to
Just
yes.
one more thing.
Sure.
Also, we have one initiative called Dolphin Tank. So it's like Shark Tank only, but we named it as Dolphin because sharks is a competitive uh, 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 it's competitive, but our initiative is supportive. That's why Dolphin, and we supported with seed grant to 14 trans entrepreneurs in the country to start their business, and also provided upskilling support to 100 trans individual in the country where they can choose the course classes as per their liberty. We just gave them financial support in that.
Right, right. So Anjali, as I talked with you all, we are coming face to face with the inspiring stories. I think the CSR universe should cover each of the story individually also, and the kind of initiatives that you people are taking.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ruchika. So with this, I would like to go to Koyel Ghosh now to just understand any project where she thinks that it has gone very well, and within that, what is the kind of challenge that they have faced while executing or implementing it?
Hi, thank you. My pronouns are they and them, and I don't identify as a woman, but thank you very much for that. Sappho for Equality has been working for the last 25 years, and the work that we've initially been doing is basically sensitization and awareness. That is what we've always focused on: sensitization and awareness of queer trans issues to different stakeholders, be it the police, be it the schools, colleges, be it institutions like medical fraternity, lawyers, counselors, psychiatrists. So that is something that we've always been doing as an organization. But other than that, I feel one of the things that we've now also been doing is skill development for queer trans individuals in different, in different capacity, and that includes digital marketing, that includes UX UI designing, that includes mobile repairing, different kinds of machine repairing. It includes doing color painting. It includes, spoken English, computer skills, and all of that. But one work that I want to really focus on and has worked for us is crisis intervention, because a lot of queer trans individuals at this point of time have faced tremendous amount of natal family violence. When I mean, so they've been outed without their consent. They've been thrown out of their natal homes to sustain themselves in extremely dire situations with no roof above their head, with no food, with no shelter, with no security. So we've made a shelter home for queer trans individuals, and as Garima Griha, can only house trans individuals only. But this shelter home that we have started, the residence, is for anybody who identifies within the spectrum of the LGBTIQAH plus. So a lot of times trans couples have to leave home, and they are not housed. The trans person is hired, but is housed, but not their partner. But we've made sure that both get some time to find sustainable livelihood for themselves. We've also started a cafe which has got permission for the same, and we've hired, we're in a process of hiring around 15 people in that. We've done a lot of sensitization and programs in corporates, and thankfully now Tata Steel, Amazon, and Ecom Express, Legrand, RP Gonka, Silicon Valley, all of these people are willing to hire and are hiring from the community. The only batch not bad but sad thing is they hire queer trans individuals only in entry level positions, and that is something that I feel needs to be relooked at, because I understand that skills are something that the trans community needs to harness, but even the job that they are offered is a very very entry level jobs until and unless uh, and then the process of growing in that field gets a very long long fatiguing process. So that is something that has happened. Tata Steel has been very, very forthcoming in hiring queer trans individuals, and around 57 people have been hired from Asansol, Jamshedpur, Bokaro, and we really look forward to that. We're doing a lot of, you know, we are sustaining, or we are trying to help queer entrepreneurs, trans entrepreneurs start their own business, because a lot of people want to work in a business environment. So we have also started that, and around seven organizations like small companies are being supported by Sappho right now. We've done HPV vaccinations other than the COVID vaccinations that were supported by the Neotia group. The HPV vaccinations, because a lot of queer trans individuals have been suffering from cervical cancer. So another vaccination that has really helped is for the AFAB people is for the HPV vaccination, and around 79 people have been vaccinated so far for the fourth round, and I'm hoping that more and more people get vaccinated as fast as possible. Another thing that we're now trying to do is we've started something called Moner Patshala. So that is basically for budding counselors and psychiatrists and psychologists who are upcoming, and a training sensitization program for them. It's a residential one for 4 days to basically make them queer affirmative, because we see that a lot of conversion therapy is still practiced in this country, which does not get notified or documented. So we feel that queer affirmation in terms of therapy is something that needs to be done on a regular basis, and that is something we are also very strongly focusing on. We are getting people registered in the portal, because not everybody has an access to a mobile phone or a laptop. So a lot of people come to the office and get their portal documentations done. We know that whatever we are doing in West Bengal or the surrounding area is in a small level, but that is the capacity that an organization like ours have. We're a small organization, but we're trying our level best to make small differences here and there. Success story is, I will talk about a success story when I think there's a holistic development of many, not just one person, but like many people get equally supported or equally equipped to do a particular job. That is when I will talk about success. It will take time for queer trans community to reach areas of success, because individual success stories, as they are important, but I think community level success stories are what we should focus on. And so that is also something I wanted to bring forth. So thank you very much, Ashish.
Thank you, Koyel. So just as you were talking, the entry level job where they are getting preference and not at the mid level or the senior level, I just got we all have a news from yesterday where Supreme Court allowed has again given the judgment that an open gay, which is Saurabh Kripal, he has been recommended again for the post of HC judge, High Court judge. So that is one of kind of hopes that we are getting from the policymakers, judiciary.
Just one thing I wanted to add also, Ashish, in terms of what you just said, we've also supported and made a guideline for judiciary, and that has just recently been released. It has been done in collaboration with a lot of organizations that have been working for many years, and a guideline has been made by our CGI for the judiciary, and that is something that needs to be mandatorily done to every high court, to every lower court, all over the country. I feel this can bring about some amount of sensitization in terms
definitely, Koyel. So I think I just a suggestion for Ruchika and the CSR Universe team. So for example, Anjali was talking about a kind of description that their organization has prepared to even before hiring of a person. And Koyel is talking about that particular kind of advisory or guidelines being created.
Right.
So if these can be brought
Yes.
on public platforms like the CSR Universe, probably this will benefit the larger community also
Absolutely.
to understand and get like sensitive towards those matter.
I completely agree. I completely agree with you. We should have a list of recommendations coming
Yes.
from all these people, and I think it will be an eye opener for a lot of other social sector stakeholders also, and for the government, of course.
Correct. So,
Can we move
Swakshdeep,
to
any?
Swakshdeep
Yeah,
also?
yes, please, Swakshdeep, your thoughts.
Yeah, I think like whatever everyone has said before, I mean, they're really inspiring stories, and also like what they've been doing on the ground as well as on a corporate level. I think like for me, I think community success story would definitely look like what Koyel has said before. Like it should be like a community success and not like individual successes, because when we look at the community, people come from like we have to also look at intersectionality, like like people come from varying levels of like caste, class, religion, and all sorts of other marginalized populations. uh, so uh, I feel when we often talk about success stories, it's often about the 1% of the community who are like very privileged in terms of like religion, caste, class. So I
Hmm.
think I think whatever like has been done or being done has to reach the people who are the like lowest level of the marginalization. Uh, for example, the Hijra community, where like who are involved in cholla, badhai, khajra, like sex work, and all these sort of things. This has to reach the lowest population. And also, I think like I don't remember who said this, but someone said that there's often a lot of push factors and pull factors. Like like for example, a lot of people who belong from the Hijra community, or from uh, communities who do like sex work, or these sort of things. Like they often have a pull factor, like like jana to jaake bhi hamare paas hi aana hai, and all that stuff. Well, I agree, that's true. I
Hmm.
feel like there's a lot of change been happening recently as well, like where like people from the Hijra community has been coming out and seeking for jobs. For example, like when I was living in Bangalore, like few months back, like I got this message from someone who was associated with sex work, and they were looking forward to come out of sex work and like get into a specific job, because sex work as a livelihood has been suffering since COVID, and so are the other hijra or trans sort of like things that we often know of, like the traditions that we often know of. Like these traditions have been traditionally suffering because of COVID. So a lot of people, even who are associated with these professions, want to come out and get into a sort of stable position or like a job. But then what they are most apprehensive of is firstly the identity cards, since most of them don't have the privilege of having identity cards or Aadhaar cards, or even going to like
Hmm.
a psychiatrist and having the gender dysphoria certificate or those sort of things. So I think what we need structurally is like a holistic level of looking at like trans people, and like irrespective of whether they have a trans certificate or a Aadhaar card or something like that. So yeah, I think that's what I would conclude my view with. Yeah, thank you.
Right, Swakshdeep. So I would now like to invite Ruchika, since the CSR Universe has been working with so many corporates also, has been reporting on their good work that they are doing in different kind of for the different segment, for
Hmm.
different themes, basically. And also the CSR Universe has been working with reporting on different kind of organizations, implementation agencies who are working on different themes. So now, if you can, Ruchika, please take on this topic. What kind of expectations that NGOs or implementation agencies have from corporates, and corporates have from, and where this can be made better, probably. What are their
Right,
thoughts?
right. Thank you so much. So I'd like to start with Ribu ji over here, because since your organization has been involved in working towards the betterment of this community. So, and you have been working in tandem with other implementation agencies as well as NGOs. So, what are your expectations in terms of the collaborative mechanisms that you would like to follow with them? And what is the gap right now? And how do you want to address that gap? How do you want the your implementation to address that gap?
So again, here I will take a step back, Ruchika, and when we started this entire journey, first of all, it took us really long time to identify the right folks who are working with the community and to already gauge what is the kind of work that they're doing, what is the impact that work has created in the society. And I know when we started this entire journey, there were so many so many agencies or so many NGOs that we were talking to. Everybody was talking about different work that was being done, but nothing
Hmm.
concrete came our way. Everybody was talking about giving them grants, but nobody was talking about skilling them. That's something that we
Hmm.
want, right? We want to look at folks.
Right.
We don't want to buy fish every time. We want to look at somebody who will learn how to fish. That's something, that's the
Right.
mindset that we had when we started off this entire journey, saying we want to work with somebody who will skill people for us, who will work with us and develop them as individuals. They should be a role model for others in the community. So we were looking at building that, and it took us really long for us to identify an NGO who we could then partner with to get this entire thing going. So probably there are a lot many more NGOs who are working in this space. They're not visible and
Hmm.
out there, for corporates to know. And this is not just
Hmm.
with Amadeus, the organization that I work with, but when I talk about this story to a lot many other people in the corporate segment, they're like, "Oh, we didn't know," and it'll be good for us to learn more about people who are working with the
Hmm.
transgender community, and what is the kind of work that's happening. They do want to understand more, but what's stopping
Hmm.
us from talking a little more about folks who are working with people from the community? Uh, we're just not doing that. And what happened as at the launch of this entire event that I was talking about is there
Hmm.
are interested reporters. They want to talk about folks from the community, but they're not sensitized. They don't know what kind of language to be used. There is a larger
Right.
problem that we need to address.
Hmm.
And the other way to look at it is probably even the corporates are not as ready as what you know a lot of us are thinking about.
Hmm.
And one small example I would like to speak here, and probably I do not want to be quoted on this example because it's more internal, but I mean, when I was talking about this incident of this person from the community coming out and speaking to me, I
Hmm.
obviously had as a responsibility, I had to let their manager know that the person is from the community, is going to come out as part of a panel discussion. The
Hmm.
first question that I get asked is, should I call for a team meeting and inform people that this person is from the community?
Oh God.
And I am like, would you do that if a person is straight? No, I will not. So then why are you doing this now? Right? So, I
Right.
mean, there are basics that we need to address. I mean, I do not want to be
Exactly.
looking at, a 10-year plan and not look at addressing what's happening right now. That was pretty appalling for me. And that's when I said,
Hmm.
we should put a stop to everything. And it's been 3 years since we are into this journey of CSR and diversity and inclusion and working with folks from the community. I said, I'm not going to hire any more folks from the community. I want to sensitize our people so that it's a safe place. It's a psychologically
Yes.
safe place for our people. And
Right.
I had Parmesh Sahani come over, talk to our leaders, talk about why it makes business sense to hire folks from the community. What is the difference? He addressed not only the leadership team but also the entire Amadeus Labs people, sensitizing them. So it starts from there. So there is a lot that needs to happen, Ruchika.
Exactly. So on that note, I would like to ask Dr. Jain now, since she has spoken about, sensitizing people from the, at the root level, at the ground level, especially people who are working for the betterment of this community. So, as an NGO, as a foundation, what are your expectations from your corporate partners? They put a lot of course, funds and thoughts also into projects like these. But where is the gap? And again, according to you, what kind of solutions do you think there are to address this gap?
Lovely. I'll answer that question, but first two things. Uh, Ribuji, for your food initiative that you're doing, if you need training for food and beverage, we have a training institute in Pune, which trains the transgender members on food production, bakery, etc. We will offer a 6 months course for free with accommodation and
Wow.
meals to any transgender member who wants to join you later on. We will support them with stay and food as well. So, ma'am, please
Perfect.
go ahead and
Brilliant.
refer the names to me.
Wonderful.
I'll take care of that.
That's
And
Amazing.
Wonderful.
Thank you so
So
much.
I think by organizing this roundtable, we have succeeded now to an extent in helping those communities, bringing
Absolutely.
those social players together, and helping each other in reaching out to those communities.
we have got
I'm
Communities.
CSR
really touched,
partners.
Dr. Jain. Thank you so much.
And we've got partners who are supporting us for the training. So we have a training center here which can house around 25 transgender members at one time. So you can please go ahead. One of our batch is going to graduate on the 30th of Jan, and we are in the process of enrolling others. So just in case you have anybody, in fact, anybody on this panel wants to refer anybody who wants to do any kind of trainings with us, we will offer free trainings with free stay and food that we'll do. And for Anjali from Humsafar Trust, for your dolphin tank, I've been to Shark Tank and I was rejected. So I'm going to come on the dolphin tank, and I hope I make it through. So and now I'll get back to Ruchika ji. Ruchika ji, there are two things in this. One is the companies who are doing CSR. They are the people who are giving money. So
Right.
I don't put any kind of do and don't on them. They are the ones who are giving. So their job is with a such a heart giving money. So that story ends over there. Yes, our job is to give them proper reports, impact, all that. That is our job. But I
Absolutely.
cannot put any kind of restrictions or boxes for the person who's donating CSR. So that is out of the question. The companies who are hiring, yes, there's a lot of work. That is what we tell people whenever we are working with somebody, because people first thing ask is, Manish, send me CVs. So it is like a farmer coming to me and saying, "Mujhe koi bhi beej de do." I don't do that. I need to
Okay.
first understand with the farmer, what does he know about his soil? Has he ever tilled his soil? Does he know उसका water क्या है, उसका weather क्या है, वहां पे गन्ना उगेगा कि चावल उगेगा कि क्या चीज उगेगी? So companies who want to just hire and ask for CVs, my thing is no. I just tell them, sorry, you have a long way to go. You need to first do everything. Sensitization of the team members is another third or fourth phase. The first phase is when the top management sits down, like ma'am rightly said right now, that the top management themselves doesn't know, oh, somebody's come out of the closet, what do I do? अभी मैं उसका बाजा बजा के उसको ऐसे घोड़े पे लेके जाता हूँ and I'll make everybody aware and we'll do that. No. So the policies where the sensitization also comes a little later. Finding which job will suit, whether they are going to be guest facing, front facing, or back facing, the entire repercussions. Like somebody, a very, very big beverage company wanted to hire transgender members as sales personnel for class C and D cities. They wanted them to go to liquor stores and take orders in class C and D cities. What do you think is going to happen? So this kind of a thought process of companies, why they're calling for disaster. So this kind of, like when we work with Flipkart, the first thing when we understand the last phase is to know how the customer might react. If the customer reacts in a manner, what is your protocol? How soon would you be able to reach there to assess that person, or what is the protocol for that person? So there are a lot of things. It is not just a capsule which can be given to every company and said that nahi, ye steps follow karo. Every company has got a very different, what are they selling? To whom are they selling? Uska client kaun hai? I need to even understand whom are they serving and what is the mindset of that client, whether they are happy having a transgender member in their organization or not. So that process is not easy. We cannot give a thing and say ki nahi, ye steps follow kar lo, and this no, it is not like a mother doesn't know how to interact with every child. Every child is different. So in our case also, when we are working with inclusive, so to be wanting to be inclusive companies is a lot of work. It is not just easy in a capsule. It can be done. No, they're absolutely. I've been to a MD of a company who just wants to understand what's between the legs. when we started talking about inclusion, the only thing he was interested was what is between the legs. And I said, sir, you are very, very far away from inclusion. Let us meet after 5, 10, 20 years. That's the mindset. I cannot, now I can either sit and fight with them over there or try to get policies or try to work with somebody who's halfway through. तुम आधा रास्ते आओ, मैं आधा रास्ते आता हूँ. Let's make it happen. So that is what our process at Kineer has been.
Ruchika, one other thing,
yes,
one other thing that
yes,
I did want to comment also on, as after I heard Dr. Manish speak, is also the fact that probably we see a lot of resistance from the leadership team. Probably it's also the fact that this is another generation that hasn't seen or hasn't been open to a lot of folks from the community, right? If you look at the younger generation, they're more open and welcoming of this. So that's a huge difference that I've seen. That's something that has really kind of stood out for me. So that's something that needs to be addressed. And these are older folks who are in a position to take those, decisions for the organization. So then how do we change their mindset? That's important.
I think Koyel wants to speak now. Yeah, Koyel.
No, I just wanted to completely agree to what Ribu just said. It is so much easier for, there needs a lot of convincing for any CSR person, but it's always very easy to get into a dialogue with somebody who is younger, more adaptable to changes, and more easier to unlearn their years.
So in a way, are you saying that CSR should have more young people?
Yes, of course. Why not? Or maybe older people who are adaptable to change,
Yeah, right.
to more.
So young mindset, you say, right?
Yes, of course, of course. Not just age-wise, but also I feel in terms of trying to agree and say that okay, this is also a possibility. These lives are also something which are real, and I completely agree with what Manish was just saying about when people come to us saying that uh, we will hire 50 people from the queer trans community. Aao bhai mujhe CV do. We downright reject because we like you do not know what you want. You just want to check boxes, and if you do, we are not ones you should come to. So these kind of saying no is also very important, because when you are actually trying to get somebody hired, nobody is doing you a favor. They're doing this because they need to do this. This is the need of the hour. Nobody is, you don't owe anybody anything. And a lot of times NGOs are treated like agencies, recruitment agencies, and I have such huge issues with that, because we do this pro bono. We do this not for the money. We don't do this because we're going to get some sort of anything out of it, other than the fact that people from our community will be hired. So do not treat us like some agencies who are here to fit your boxes and check your boxes for you. So there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of rage also to the insensitivity. I think sensitization is something that has to happen. And Ribu, you were absolutely right that people really do not know about the visibility of NGOs who are working day in and day out on livelihood, on skill building, on corporate sensitization. But my question is, what is it? How do we become visible now? Why? How? What is the why is the onus again on queer trans individuals to make themselves visible? Like, what do we do? Go on a roof and start shouting, or like start posting on LinkedIn, on Facebook and Instagram? We're doing that, but we really don't know how to reach to an corporate and say, "Bhai, we know the job. We are subject matter experts. Listen to us," instead of making your own policies and thinking you've done enough.
Brilliant point there, Koyel. Brilliant point. And I so agree with what you're saying.
So
Ribu,
since you are sitting on the other side of the table, so you would be able to really tell them how do they approach the corporates in a right way, and so that you also get to know and understand their commitment, their intentions.
Right now, what I'm doing, at least I can speak for myself, and what we are doing is that every time I get an opportunity to go and present at any of the CSR forums, I make it a point to talk about the NGO that I'm working with. I call out their names and I call out the kind of work that we are doing. And Pride Cafe has been out there in every newspaper, literally in Bangalore, talking about the kind of work that Solidarity Foundation is doing, plus what Amadeus is doing, and what is the objective of the Pride Cafe, right? So it's about the kind of work. And I, from the launch time to now, I think I would have spoken about this to at least 10 other organizations that I'm working with who are our partners, starting from Accenture to CGI to HP to IBM. So they're all like, okay, who's Solidarity? What is the kind of work that happens, right? So a lot of it is by word of mouth. A lot of it is our, if you look at our LinkedIn profiles, a lot of it is about talking about who Solidarity Foundation is, why are we working with them. So it does talk about those angles also. So I don't think there is a, you know, one size fits all, or there is no ready-made answer that I would have also. But it's about the inroads that we as individuals want to make into an organization. Probably it's and I will look up to something like a CSR universe to, you know, kind of put all of us together into various platforms, give those opportunities for the corporates to kind of have these conversations with NGOs, with folks who are working in this space. I mean, that's something that will help.
Right, truly,
what
truly
I'm
said,
thinking.
Ribu. So I think such kind of media platform should be bridging those gaps also. I mean, the NGOs and implementation agencies, they are not very sure that when they approach to corporates or different corporates, what their responses would be. And corporates, despite wanting to do something, they don't exactly find the kind of right intentions among the partners, implementation agencies. I believe that might be one of those
That's a
challenges.
deterrent too, because when you're doing, especially when you're doing something like a CSR, there are a zillion calls that you will get.
Yes.
I'm from this organization, how do you validate, how do you know which is the right one that you want to kind of focus on? So I mean, and I will look for, like I called out, Ruchika, probably towards your organization and people like you who could actually put this platform together and talk about, probably in a month, 10 credible NGOs who are working in this field. This is the kind of work that's done. I mean, what's, if you would send me something like this, I know I'm part of the larger CSR, corporate CSR, you know, kind of a community. I could just publish it to them saying, this is what you should be looking forward to, or these are the credible agencies or partners that you could work with.
Correct. So any thoughts, Anjali? Ruchika, you wanted to say
just
something?
on the lines of what Manish sir and Koyel mentioned about recruitment. So not only with employers, also we engage very closely with employees, because farmer knowing about his soil is important, but also कि जो seed है वो क्या करना चाहता है, whether they wants to grow as a plant or maybe wants to be a popcorn. So मतलब seed को क्या बनना है, so giving upskilling opportunity which aligns with the aspiration of the community, because what happens is we know the urgency of having a job within the community, and because of that urgency they sign up for any upskilling courses which is available for free, or which is providing them all the uh, 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 all the uh, जो भी accommodation or food, and because of that they sign up for those upskilling and they end up not doing their career in that. So we provide career guidance, because for community to understand their aspiration and to see what they need to work upon to align with their aspiration is very important. We also make their resume, because we have seen the kind of resume that comes to us from the community, and to also do justice to the skills that they have. For example, if I know a trans woman who is doing sex work from past 10 years and wants to apply for a corporate job, I, as a community person, would understand her skill that she has acquired because of past negotiation with her clients, accounting. Maybe she might not have a certificate to back that, but still she has acquired some skill, and that needs to be there in her resume so that the corporates understand. So using that language in the resume, so providing that support is also important.
So I believe, Anjali, just sorry to interrupt, but I believe the question was that the kind of work that you have been doing with your different corporate partners. Now, where do you see what are the where do you see that the work can be more can be made better in terms of, can be made smooth, to work smooth, and what are the gaps, and what are your suggestions towards bridging those gaps, if when the partners are supporting you? What are your expectations from your corporate partners?
I was coming on that just because Manish and Koyel mentioned, so I wanted to add to that.
Sure. Yes.
So yeah, so one gap which really needs to fill in is the correlation between DNI team of an organization with the CSR team. Because what DNI is doing, CSR team does not know. What CSR team is doing, DNI team does not know. And for most of the DNI committee in an organization, they lack funds. And because of which they are not able to take any initiative within the organization. So both the team needs to be in sync so that they know what they are doing, and also uh, going to such organization who are working for the community for recruitment will help, but also agreeing to what they are saying. Because if you just come to us and ask for random resumes, it will not really help in your long term. Following that processes, understanding their concerns, and also considering that concern to get incorporated in your recruitment process. Because if you are coming with the only graduate policy, you will leave a huge chunk of trans individual who are looking for a job. And bringing that equity focus in your approach, I guess that will help. And also one more thing, uh, not coming with the attitude that we know everything. Because I have seen corporates that they uh, claim that they know everything, they are sensitized, they are inclusive, but in real, we know what kind of sensitivity they have towards the community. So, leaving that ignorance aside and having a conversation with the communities would really help to achieve what we are looking
Great. So, Akshadeep, I would want you to also include your observations and your recommendations as so as to, bridge this gap to address the challenges at the moment.
Yeah, I think so. Sorry, I think my video is glitching.
Yes.
Uh,
You can turn off your video and answer. Yeah, this is better.
Yeah. So I think what needs to be done is basically sensitizing the companies first before getting in, trans people. Like I think what most of the corporates are doing these days are just treating it as a recruitment exercise and just to check the DI box. So yeah, like as everyone said before, like like I personally get a lot of DMs in my LinkedIn saying, like, okay, we are hiring for trans people, just give us CVs, or like just connect us with people who are looking for jobs. And I just feel like that's not really the way you do it. Unless like I wouldn't trust such a person sending such DMs unless and until it is a person from the community whom I could look upon and trust. So I think that factor also comes in, like who is doing that. So yeah, I think in general, what needs to be done is basically sensitizing the community and also not like sort of glorifying them for breaking the barrier and whatnot, like sort of like sort of just putting into the light and saying, oh, this is a trans person, oh, like this is the first trans person who's come into a company or something like that. Because like speaking from my own personal experience, since I've worked with corporates a bit in the past, so I can say that what a lot of corporates do is like, sorry, I think I'll just turn the video off. Yeah. So I think what a lot of corporates do is like, like they will hire a trans person and they won't have the sensitivity, but they'll be like, oh, we so much care about your pronouns, so much care about your gender and so many things. But in reality, like, they will continue misgendering you for like, every time they get the chance. And yeah, I think that really needs to change. And also, apart from that, since someone was also talking about the visibility of NGOs, I think Ribu and Koyel was talking about the visibility of the NGOs. So I think there's also a very like sort of like layers. There are layers to it. For example, the NGOs which are based in the cities are often more visible than NGOs which are based in like small towns or rural areas. Like at least in West Bengal, I know that there's at least one NGO in almost every district. But and since I have like close contacts and also been observing closely the NGOs who are doing work in rural areas, I feel like their visibility and their like access to funding and everything is so much more limited than those working in the cities. So I think we also need to look at that dynamic and not just focus on city based development, because of course, like if we I mean, if we have to look at development in a holistic way, then we have to focus on, small towns and rural areas as well, because as we know, India is 70% rural. So
right. So I can see Dr. Jain is smiling. So lovely. Are you, Dr. Jain, do you really believe in those advantage when you are Delhi based?
I will tell you something. It's my
Delhi
personal
NCR based, sorry. Yeah.
It's my personal experience. If you see this photograph right on top here, how many of you would know this person?
We know. She is from Maharashtra.
Yes. Does anybody know her name? You can see a Padam Shri.
Recent.
Okay. Great.
She's a Padam Shri holder. She's Sindhu Tai Sapkal. She is called the mother of orphans. She is my mother. She's a very renowned name. If you Google पे डालोगे ना तो कम से कम 120 pages on her name will come up. Now the problem is not how do we talk about and what do we say and how do we search. The problem is we don't want to search. If everybody sitting over here does not know the mother of orphans in India and we are all in the social sector, then hats off to us. The problem is that we keep blaming. How I met her, she's not my biological mother. No. We were distributing rations across the country and one of my volunteers told me that, sir, do you know Padam Shri? Do you know Sindhu Tai Sapkal? She had not got the Padam Shri then. I said, I know her. How do I get in touch with her? We got in touch with her. She adopted me. I'm her last adopted son. I was searching. I got it. I don't search. I will not get. NGOs will keep crying like Koyel also said right now. I can't go on the terrace and keep shouting, I'm NGO. No. Who's searching for you? When it's not on your mandate, you will not search. You will not search. You will not get us. The transgender community and their problems is centuries, is not even a decade or not even 1 century. 700, 800-year-old, more than that. वो रामचंद्र के टाइम से है कि वो जब वनवास गए थे तो बोल के गए कि तुम सारे मर्द और औरत चले जाओ. तो the transgenders waited for 14 years for him to come back. It is there in our granths. So if somebody says they don't know about transgender, if somebody says I want to go on Google and search and I don't get a person working for no, Lakshmi Narayan Tripathi, I don't know her. She's my partner today. I searched for her. She is my partner because I searched. I don't search and I keep saying
name. So a little proactive kind of steps from both corporates and implementation partners.
The people who are giving money, I said, मैं कुछ नहीं बोलूँगा because they are the people who are feeding me. But who are you searching for? If you don't search for me, you'll not get. Padam Shri Sindhu Tai Sapkal does not have one company giving her a CSR grant.
That's your humility, Dr. Jain. Again, I would say both sides. I can see Ribu also talking. She is not able to find the right kind of partner with right kind of intentions. You are saying you have right kind of intentions, but you are not going and proactively like marketing your work, right? So
we are definitely we are just a 4-year-old company,
right?
We are very proactive because we understand. Because I come from the corporate world. I've been CXO to big companies. I've been chief executive officer in companies who had like 17,000 odd employees. I understand social media marketing. I understand. But a lot of friends over here in the social sector with me are not aware. My mother, she was not aware of social sector. Kaise kar sakte? She was not aware of Donate Card platform. We generated 1.5 crore for her on Donate Card platform. My mother didn't know.
Right.
The problem is there are so many people. Yes. The connection.
Understand. Yeah. Thank you. So that brings more and more responsibilities on this kind of platform, the CSR universe is. Bring in more players to talk about the kind of work that they have been doing. Bring in corporates to talk about the kind of work that they want to do with the implementation agencies, right?
Right.
Yes, Dr. Jain, quickly, we are running short of time. Yeah,
I just shared something that the Karnataka government has done. We're looking for companies who can do this. CSR Universe, you can have a look at that. You can be the bridge between CSR implementation partners and companies who are looking for those projects. So just
Yeah,
definitely.
Definitely. So very quickly, since we are in the last leg of this wonderful and insightful discussions, I would just like to have your thoughts very quickly on policy recommendations. Very quickly, what is the kind of policy recommendations? Both NGOs, since NGOs and implementation agencies have faced challenges, they know the reality on ground. And corporates, while they are their CSR mandate is also restricted in some way. Like if they are doing something and they are offering job, maybe if they are offering some job training, special job training to the transgenders who will work eventually for them, that is not part of kind of CSR mandate, is not included. So what are the kind of restrictions that you think should go away, and what is the kind of recommendations that you have? Quickly from each of you. We can start from Ribu. Yeah.
I would have a long list of recommendations.
Yes, please do share, because then only government and policymakers will also know. And obviously, if you have a long list, we'll talk. Probably Ruchika can talk to you separately also on that.
Yeah. I do have, like I called out, a long list of recommendations, but I think what will work very well for me and for a lot of corporates, and I will talk for the corporate language really, is like somebody earlier called out that CSR and diversity and inclusion don't work together in a lot of organizations. How can we kind of work together? Because a lot of organizations that I speak to have their diversity and inclusion chapter, and LGBTQ plus is a mandate as part of that chapter, right? But they don't have a fund. But CSR has a fund. If you look at by law, we have a fund for CSR. So how do we work together and kind of ensure that this fund is something that could be, utilized for both of these? Because you're looking, at the end of the day, you're even looking at skill building. If you're looking at, upskilling folks from the LGBTQ plus community. So how do we kind of work together as a team, and how these funds can go into projects which are around diversity and inclusion as well, so that we kind of build inclusive environment for and for us to intake a lot of folks from the community.
Right. Thank you. Anjali, quickly, any policy level recommendation?
I guess what Ribu said, there's too much fund available in CSR. It's just that we have to direct it towards the right place where it gets utilized and the community get benefit out of it, and how to make that a mandate so that corporates ka dhyan jaye and it becomes a mandatory responsibility on them, and it's and the attitude of doing a favor on the community should also go, so that it comes with the right intent also, I guess.
Absolutely. And I also am saying this because, Ashish, a lot of times I've seen corporates just, I couldn't do too many activities around CSR, so Prime Minister's Relief Fund mein de do paisa.
Right.
It's like, it's not even thousands, it's of crores of money that's going there. And there too, we don't know, it's an ocean there. We don't know what's happening. Why aren't we looking at pumping that back into the society to look at what can we do for our people?
Right.
That's where I'm coming from.
Right. So, Koyel, you want to share some recommendations that you have for our policymakers?
Yeah. Was the question asked to me? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, please. So any recommendation? Yeah.
All right, to the CSR heads. That's the question, right? The CSR.
Not CSR heads only, but policymakers, which are government agencies.
Oh, I have a lot of recommendations. I can go on and on. But the first recommendation is, to talk about transphobia, homophobia, queerphobia, to have punitive actions taken against people who exhibit, phobic behavior in institutions like schools and colleges. That is something I feel can bring about a lot of changes, because a lot of people don't get to finish their education just because they face such discriminations in schools and colleges. So if that is done, if anti-ragging, I was looking at an NCRT guideline that is recently, now it's a draft thing, it will be released. And I was going through that, and there is no mention of there are mentions of how you can take a session, but there's no mention of what happens if you violate a trans child, like a trans kid. What do you do? What happens then? What is it in the POCSO Act? What happens then? For policy level changes, I think in the POSH policy or ICC complaints committee that different organizations have, even the POSH policy also, it becomes inclusive of queer trans realities, for different organizations. If something in that layer can be done, mandatory representation of queer trans person in different organizations, and if this is done in a policy level, so then that representation can bring about sustainable amount of change. Another thing that I feel in a policy level thing that can be done is, a lot of trans individuals do not want to apply for a portal, or cannot apply for a portal applications. They identify as non-binary, a gender queer. So there are so many of layers within the ambit of the trans spectrum. So not everybody will be even comfortable going there and doing the documentation changes. What about people from that spectrum? What about people like these? Are they then also within the ambit of the trans? Because in the Trans Act, that is mentioned in the Nalsa judgment also, it was mentioned very briefly, but it was mentioned. So what can that also be looked at? Another thing that I feel is, natal family violence has become such a big issue right now. We were recently talking about how natal family members in the Domestic Violence Act, the Domestic Act that is there in 2005 and then 2013, how natal family, if they violate a trans person, how that can also, they should be imprisoned for 6 to 2 years. It is there in the policy level, but it's not like mentioned in the Domestic Violence Act. How can that be included? So I can go on and on, but these are some of my
right. Thank you, Koyel, for your suggestion. Any recommendation from you, Swakshdeep?
Yeah, I think like Koyel, I can just go on and on with the recommendations. I think Koyel has really pointed out something, like some really great recommendations. From my side, I think like I would really go with Koyel on the sort of spectrum of transgender, or like with the gender variance ambit. Like for example, I as a like Kothi person, Kothi non-binary person, I don't feel comfortable applying for the transgender portal, because I don't even know if I am like legally entitled to do that. So like I have gone on the portal, and I didn't just feel comfortable doing that, because like the Trans Act or the or even the Nalsa judgment doesn't state anything about that. So I don't know if I'm legally entitled to apply as transgender. So yeah, definitely the one policy change should definitely be like looking at the entire ambit of transgender as a spectrum, and not like just like few sort of like boxes that the government has currently done. Apart from that, I think there needs to be education, especially in institutions like police, on every level, not just in cities but also in rural areas. Because what we have been seeing recently is if someone is from the city, there's a lot of help available, but for example, I come from a small town in West Bengal, and if I walk into the local police station and complain about transphobic violence, like the police will just won't even take my case seriously. For example, there was a case 2 years back where a trans person was violated, and it's like 30 kilometers away from my place, which is like the district headquarters of the district I'm in, Nadia district. And the person went to the police station, and the police station was like, oh, glad you are alive, so you can just go to your home and continue living. So that was the reaction, and that was after the Trans Act was published. So there needs to be an action on every level, and not just like in few selected institutions, because every institutions that exist, we need to have the right, like in every institution, and definitely in schools and colleges, definitely, because I think for almost every trans person, the like school and college is like one of the horrific places that we have ever been to. So but definitely there needs to be a sort of guideline, or sort of like action that can be taken, or that needs to be taken when someone is faced with transphobic violence, as Koyel stated as well. And apart from that, Apart from that, I think even looking at the psychiatrist and medical side, I feel like there needs to be a lot more sensitization, especially from an institutional level, and there needs to be guidelines on for example, talking about my own personal experience, I can say that walking to a psychiatrist is not like a very very general exercise for me. Even before walking to a psychiatrist, I have to go through an entire list of psychiatrists just to see whether they are confirmative of queer individuals, trans individuals, and then only I can walk into a psychiatrist's office. And that often is like includes skimming through 40 different psychiatrists, and picking up who is actually trans affirmative or queer affirmative. So I think that definitely needs to be there. Yeah, I think these would be some of my
very valid concerns and suggestions also. So finally, coming to Dr. Jain, quick policy level recommendations that you have for policymakers.
Ashish, when it comes to policies, it is a very complicated. I'll tell you exactly why. The spectrum is so big. It is not just male, female. The spectrum is so big. I'll give you a very small example. I'll leave you just with a small example.
Sure.
A trans man traveling by metro, who should frisk?
Yeah.
Who should frisk a trans man traveling in the Delhi metro? Everybody here, open question.
There is, I don't think there is any policy as such.
What should be the policy? What is the recommended policy? What is the recommendation? If we are all here panelists setting up a policy, and I tell you there's a trans person who's traveling by the Delhi metro, who should frisk? It is not easy. Policies, when we talk about policies, because the spectrum, the rainbow colors, it's not easy. There's so much of overlap that it needs very, very dedicated at every step. It is not just one policy fits all. Cannot happen. Cannot happen.
Yeah.
It is a very complicated thing that we are talking about. It needs a lot of thought. It needs, I think, कम से कम 5-10 साल तो सोच में चले जाएंगे.
Even in corporate offices, a small thing. We don't have washroom for. We have washroom for male and female.
These are easy fix. You make a gender neutral washroom. You make a washroom which is accessible to aliens. Done.
Yeah.
Now the problems are, like I've given you, a trans man. Who will frisk? Is he going to be comfortable by a male security guard frisking or a female?
Correct.
Where does he go? Uska kya choice hai? Every trans man will have a different answer to this question.
Yeah, absolutely. The choice should be there. Yeah.
That is the problem. Now what do? Either we say we do not do any frisking. Are the others willing for a security risk?
No. Definitely not. Definitely not.
But Manish, just to not answer your question, but just to problematize it a little further, what if frisking does not happen a hand thing? What if there are machines used to frisk? That is one. And second, if it's a pre-op person who is, so the choice has to be given in that matter whether where the person opts to choose. So I know somebody who is a transmasculine individual who goes by the Delhi metro, is post-op and goes to the male security because they are comfortable doing that. But for somebody who's a pre-op person and not comfortable, but then hand frisking should be stopped. Nobody, irrespective of whether they're trans or cis, should be touched inappropriately in the name of security check. No.
That's an even bigger policy now that we're talking about. Now,
right.
when we touch this subject matter, we touched a subject matter which is how long would you think that something like this manual frisking policy would take time? मतलब कितना उसमें समय लगेगा?
Agreed.
So that is why policies step by. All I say is treat it like a family with a little bit of common sense. Problems will not happen. I don't make policies.
Yeah.
In my family.
Again, I think I also think with all those discussions and insights that you all have shared, I also think that this topic is not giving as much space in public sphere as it should be given, right? To bring awareness, to even pose questions that you are posing to us now. So that should be posed to everyone, every individual, all the common citizens, as to what do they think, what they understand, and what their reactions are. And if the reactions are not in the right direction, we need to have that kind of counseling to them, right?
National level sensitization.
Yeah, rightly said. And probably there can be with all your efforts, and if such platforms can run such campaign wherein we do such kind of drive, I hope this helps. So herein, I think we have talked about the common, the current status. What are the policies? You have also suggested a few recommendations for our policymakers. Then we also had in this discussion talked about where the gap between the corporates and implementation agencies working on this particular area can be bridged, right? I hope this brings in some insight for other social sector players also who are working or even trying to work or even trying to look into this area, and brings them insight and encourage them to do and participate to work towards the welfare of this trans community. So thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Jain, Ribuji, Swakshdeep, Koyel, and Anjali for joining us in this roundtable discussion. Thank you, Nancy, for inviting me. Over to you. Thank you.
Yeah. So I would like to thank all these speakers for participating in the panel discussion and sharing their valuable insights regarding the current challenges and opportunities for the transgender community in our country. We really hope to see a big change in the current situation soon, so that this community gets the much deserved opportunities and respect. Thank you so much for taking out your time today to be a part of this event. Thank you and have a great day ahead.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.